the UFC in Macau, in China, and it was a bumper event. Lots of knockouts, lots of I think. Look, we see it in the comments, right? But you cannot convince me otherwise. Striking is more.
Yes, I want to come on here and say that, like, call me a casual all you want, and you know what? I'll do you like a B Rabbit in 8 Mile. Yeah, I'm a casual. Now what? Now, Chuck is the expert where UFC is concerned, and over the years, he's been winning me over and getting into it. And yeah, I do represent the voice of the casual on here. And as you say, Chuck, like, especially in that matchup between Yan and Figueiredo, they were standing up for most of that fight. And I'm like, yeah, this is the entertainment. A majority of people like want, like, you do not cater for like the niche market, like the guys who wanna who like absolutely it's great, you know, if you enjoy all aspects of MMA, shout out to you, you know. But like as well, I'm with you, you cannot convince me that striking is not the peak of what we want to see in that octagon.
Yeah, because I mean, here's a question, right? Before we go into the match at hand, name me 5 fights that were wrestling heavy, were all on the ground and were fights of the night. That's all I'm saying. Casual or not, just name those fights. Nonetheless, Che, what we liked about this particular fight, it was striking heavy, right? It did go to the ground. Figueiredo did take Petr Yan to the ground a couple of times. Petr Yan, he himself took Deivison Figueiredo on the ground as well, which for me suggests that he's improved because he was very strike heavy, and every time he took him to the ground, like we saw in the fight against Merab, he had no hope. He had no chance. But in this fight, he had answers. He could scramble. He could come back up. He could reverse the position. So I think this one had everything, right, Jay? But when you look at the fight that Petr Yan had with Deivison Figueiredo, he won that unanimously. Do you think this suggests that he's ready for a title shot against Merab? Did you see enough?
Yes, Chuck. The fact that he won all 5 rounds against Figueiredo, and we know Figueiredo has just recently moved up to bantamweight. I believe this is his second fight there. He won his first fight unanimously, that is Figueiredo, and now coming up against the number 3 ranked fighter in that division. It showed that he still got some way to go. And Yan, after losing the title to Sterling and then that controversial loss that he suffered against O'Malley, has been working himself back into title contention, you know. And regardless of the fact that Figueiredo is new in this weight class, it is still Deivison Figueiredo, you know. And I do think getting a result against a big name, if you want to say, it's the John Jones way of doing things, right? Like it's a legacy victory, however you want to spin it. I do think that is something that puts him firmly in the title picture once again. Will he go back up to the top and win it? That is still to be found out. But what I saw in that matchup against Figueiredo was an impressive victory, was an impressive performance. Even as Figueiredo did come back on him in the latter parts of the 4th round, and in that 5th round he did well to respond and win even that 5th round, because of course we're at that point Figueiredo was behind on the scorecards, and he had to try end that fight, and Yan was vigilant to that, and he was still also responding with strikes, not afraid to go in there and mix it up with Figueiredo, even though he had the fight in the bag. So I do think from him dropping the title and coming back with the victories that he has been able to acquire, it's in his near future.
I think Petr Yan had a lot of controversy. Obviously, there's that incident with Aljamain Sterling where you're like, is it illegal blows, Sterling faking the injury or whatever it was? And then what was, according to most of us who watched that fight against O'Malley, he won that fight, but controversially went the other way, right? And so now you're thinking after the surgery, after all that noise has died down, he gets to go make a proper challenge, right? And when he fought Merab Dvalishvili, I think that's when his wrestling and his ground game was a bit poor, and he's since made adjustments and become better. So it'll be interesting to see what he does going forward. But shout out to Deivison Figueiredo, man. I know it was a unanimous victory for Petr Yan, but the man comes up from flyweight to bantamweight and he still got power, because every time you knocked Petr Yan with heavy blows, you could see the effect of it, and you're like, okay, the guy deserves some respect, number one, and number two, his head is as strong as a cinder block, because you just can't knock him down. Yan landed knees, landed combinations that he just could not stop the guy from coming forward. So I think he will be a problem in the division. If he goes all the way to fight Nurmagomedov, if he goes all the way to fight Merab, I don't know, but I think Deivison Figueiredo is going to be a problem. If you look at how he dispatched Chito Vera, and then you look how he fought in this particular fight, I think it's going to be very interesting, and I think it's been a good move for him to go a weight up. So I think that was a barnstorming fight, Jay, and I think Petr Yan is showing people that, hey, I haven't gone away. There might be wrestling that's needed in the game, but I've got it, and I'm there to fight.